explained in the driver's meeting, gentlemen, when those cars come in the garage area, you better not touch those spoilers. We're going to have an inspector go over with a gauge and put it on the car. Now, if your spoiler is less than 20 degrees, I don't care if it's 19 or 18, if it's less than 20, there will be no fines, there will be no penalties. You will purely be disqualified. That's a critical, critical mistake to the crew, is make sure they cannot make on this final pit stop. Gentlemen?
Well, look at Jeff Bodine, who has taken the high road. Boy, he was way up by the fence.
He scared me to death. Man, oh, man.
And here comes Darrell Waltrip trailing this group of cars in the number 17 Lumen. And now, if he were to win here today, and it doesn't look good, quite frankly, for Darrell Waltrip, but he would pick up that $100,000 bonus for winning 2 of the 3 races. And, of course, if you win 3 of the 4 races, you win $1 million. And now, back up front, it is still a single file formation with Davey Allison showing the way over Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt, Neil Bonnet, and Bill Elliott. 149 laps are complete. Caution period on the 150th lap, and the leaders, Davey Allison on the top and Morgan Shepherd on the bottom as their respective crews go to work. Morgan is going to get out fast. He leaves the pits already with 2 tire changes, and Davey Allison is going to get a 4 tire change. Remember, we are under caution now because of Greg Sachs, who has come in contact with the wall over in turn number 2, and there is his car. Greg Sachs bringing out our 5th caution period of the day. And now some of the cars begin to move out of pit road, including Allison. And here's Jack Arute with a call to the Darrell Waltrip stop.
Well, the problem that has been plaguing Darrell Waltrip is a rubber that they put on the right front spring. They were trying to take it out the last time during caution, and now the crew is going back to work again with a big wrench, and they're trying to pull that rubber out. They've accomplished the task, and now they're going to put the tire back on, and they're going to, as you can see from the crew cam, Eddie Dickerson goes to work. He completes his task, and they are going to change all 4 tires. Now, he's at the back of the pack, so he can have the luxury of this because pit position isn't all as important to him as others. So they're continuing to work here. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Well, we mentioned Morgan Shepherd a minute ago. He did not change tires. He simply looked at the 4 Hoosier tires that were on his car, added a can and a half of gasoline, whereas Davey Allison did make a 4 tire change. Could be a critical move. Remember, tire wear isn't that important here, but fellas up in the booth, I wonder if that'll affect them on all these last 20 laps or so.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Let's take a look at the replay of the crash of Greg Sachs. He was already down on the inside, slipped back up into the track, clipped the wall on the outside, then shot back down across the racetrack. And you can see the pieces flying from the car as it comes to rest down on the grassed area.
I watched Greg Sachs just a couple of laps before that, and he was with Michael Waltrip and Jim Sauter. And Jack Arute has an answer to one of our questions.
Well, actually, an answer to what Jerry had supposed about Morgan Shepherd coming on. And Jerry, as you said, Morgan didn't take on tires. And this crew up at my side with Davey Allison, they did. They had to, Jerry, because of the fact that during the last caution period, they elected not to take any tires on. They did a gas and go, and they were gambling on fuel. And with the caution coming out now, they said, hey, we better change tires now. We've got the luxury of time.
And Jack Wood Brothers did a great job of getting Neil Bonnet out. Also, we might mention Neil Bonnet in the Citgo Ford. He did not change tires either. They had fuel in the car, so he brought him in, put 1 can of fuel in. I hope that's going to be enough. It should be enough. We have 152 laps complete, 188 comprised. This Winston 500, so it should be enough for Neil Bonnet, but that put him up front, so they're hoping possibly the Citgo Ford will have a shot at winning it.
Well, it's interesting that the 2 cars that did not take on tires, Morgan Shepherd and Neil Bonnet, both are on Hoosier tires now and will be on Hoosier tires the rest of the race.
So we're setting up now for the conclusion of the Winston 500 here at Talladega. 152 laps complete out of 188. Greg Sachs' car is being pulled into the garage area after having hit the wall. And the signal has gone out to the drivers on the racetrack that next time around we will be getting the green flag. Well, our continuing coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing has brought us to the very deep south for stop number 9 on the 1988 schedule. Let's travel beyond the gates to see what's nearby Talladega Superspeedway. The town of Talladega is a small one located about 40 miles east of Birmingham. Just outside the gates of the track, but still on the Speedway property, is the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. where race fans can step back into the past to relive some great moments. The great Fireball Roberts swept both races at Daytona in 1962 in this Smokey Yunick prepared car. Also on display, what was then the world's fastest race car that Art Malone drove here at Talladega. Curtis Turner was the NASCAR convertible champion in this number 26 Ford. A wide variety of cars are on display, including passenger cars and even sprint cars. Also, just beyond the gates of Talladega Superspeedway, last Friday night, our Benny Parsons was auctioning off one of his hats of the week for the Alabama Institute for the Blind and Deaf. Phil Barkdahl was the auctioneer, and the bidding was fast and furious between Bill Elliott and Davey Allison. The winner, Davey Allison, he pays $350 for the hat, but the real winner, the Alabama Institute for the Blind and Deaf.
Boy, that was a wild time, that auction. Phil Barkdahl, what an auctioneer that guy is.
He's also a very fine race driver, has shown quite a bit of ability and strength here today. And now the green flag comes out on lap number 154 as we resume competition, and Neil Bonnet is leading the Winston 500.
Bill Elliott was running along second in the Coors Mellon Ford Thunderbird. Didn't get a good jump, and look at Morgan Shepherd going for the lead by Neil Bonnet. And he has it.
Oh, Shepherd looks so strong.
Well, he really does.
Harry Gant is to the inside. And he goes into second place, passing Neil Bonnet. Here comes Martin along in car number 6. And Martin has third, forcing Neil high on the racetrack.
Neil's trying to come back on the outside. Now, Phil Elliott will choose Neil Bonnet. That's who'll win this race. But if Elliott chooses Mark Martin, that's who's going to win.
But if Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd can stay hooked up like they are there right now, they could possibly pull away. And those two North Carolina neighbors, Morgan living in Conover, and about 15 miles north of there is Taylorsville. That's where Harry Gant lives. Both of them started their racing careers at the Hickory Speedway at Hickory, North Carolina. And in fact, I had the good fortune of seeing both of those race drivers start their driving career at Hickory on the dirt track there. And here they are battling it out for the Winston 500.
Now Terry Labonte has joined the number 6 car of Mark Martin on the inside. That's Ricky Rudd at number 26. Here comes Davey Allison also on the inside line.
Davey came out of the pits, in 10th place on the restart as a result of taking on 4 tires. There he is right behind the Bud car of Terry Labonte in car number 11. Bill Parsons back there. All of those drivers scrambling. Still at least 20 cars in the lead lap.
In terms of car strength today, it seems to me that the 2 strongest cars, or among the 2 strongest cars, have been Davey Allison and Morgan Shepherd, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Well, I agree with you, but I think we have to put Harry Gant in that category because he had run strong up there with them early, and then he had an unscheduled pit stop and just never got back in sequence with them, but he's back there now in sequence. Right there with Morgan Shepherd, and they've done a good job of pulling away a little bit from that pack.
And now Bill Elliott is hung on the outside as Davey comes to the inside. So does Terry Labonte, and now Bill moves down on the track to drop in behind Davey Allison.
Labonte was waiting for somebody to come along and pick him up and help to push him up there to those front 2 cars. Once they got by him, he didn't really have that much help. But now Terry Labonte and Davey Allison come along. They're going to give somebody some help. Might be helping themselves.
So Harry Gant looking for another win this year in Winston Cup competition. He, of course, was the winner of the race we televised earlier in Darlington. And our question that we had to Harry Gant earlier the weekend, a very simple one. Can you win this race here this weekend at Talladega Superspeedway?
Definitely. It's a good car. That Oldsmobile we have here is the same car that Phil won the race here in. Same car. So we got an engine that's going to be real strong. Be here tonight for the race, a race engine. And it was similar to our practice engine. And, you know, it would run 192, 93 miles an hour. So with the spoiler 20 degrees, and I think we'll be able to run, you know, over 190 with the car.
Well, indeed, here again would like to win it here. As he said, it's the same car that Phil Parsons rode to victory here in the Winston 500 a year ago. But Gant had 2 engines built by Leo Jackson, and everyone knows how strong Leo is in the horsepower department. They brought one down for qualifying. It made about 8 laps and then came apart. They had a problem with a tappet sticking in the top of the engine. They said that sister engine down here just arrived here late yesterday afternoon. That's what Gant was talking about. My engine will be here tonight. It came in. They put it in the car. They had their fingers crossed, hoping this engine would be as strong as the one they had for qualifying, and indeed is strong, if not stronger, and Gant would like to win it as they mix it up front. Bob?
Right at the tri-oval, we see some maneuvering going on as Terry Labonte and Mark Martin both separate themselves and go high on the track, leaving Neil Bonnet on the low line, and Neil begins to fall back. Morgan Shepherd has the lead now, and look at Bonnet about to fall to the rear of this freight train.
Well, you got 5 Fords running 3rd through 7th position. You got Pontiac up front and an Oldsmobile running in 2nd place.
And look at the 2 guys that are catching up with Neil Bonnet.
Davey had some hand signals going with his neighbor. Ned talking just a moment ago about Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd being neighbors. So is Davey Allison and Neil Bonnet. Davey was motioned to build. Oh, Darrell Waltrip on the bottom of the racetrack. He looked like he might have some of his problems behind him.
Well, they did get that rubber out of that right front spring, which would have loosened the car up a little bit, I guess, and maybe that's what he needed here for this end run.
The 2 cars that caught Neil Bonnet there are Phil Parsons and Sterling Marlin, but this is the 2nd group of cars now as we watch from Rusty Wallace's bumper cam back at the Jeff Bodine New Lumina. A little bit of breakup on the camera. Here comes Alan Kowicki and Darrell Waltrip and several others, Rusty Wallace and Jeff Bodine and Phil Barkdahl, all hooked up in a draft. Also Kyle Petty there in the number 42 car. That's Barkdahl in 73 to the inside.
You're looking at the windshield of Jeff Bodine into Rusty Wallace there on the right side. He tried to make a move there, but there was no room down there. And now we'll look at the rear of Rusty Wallace's car at Jeff Bodine.
There's Darrell Waltrip, who is going to need more than it seems a good luck charm to pull off a victory here this afternoon, but he has one of the pits, right, Jack?
Yeah, Bob, he does. And here you see Victory Lane and all of the white landscaping marble that they use here, and activity starting to get underway here as we get ready for the end of this race. The crew came over here today, and they took one of these rocks and they taped it to his dashboard, and they said, Darrell, bring it back to Victory Lane.
Well, Darrell is going to try desperately, but right now he has Alan Kowicki and Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt ahead of him, and he is... Well, Davey Allison now is caught on the bottom side of the racetrack. Now he moves back up into line. Darrell Waltrip shown in 20th position at the moment.
No, he has moved up from that now, Bob. He is running in the 13th position, so he has moved up from where he was a moment ago.
But still far away from the lead draft that you are watching at the moment. It can be any one of these guys. In fact, it could be any one of 20 drivers who are still on the lead lap that could come out the victor of this race. And we're about 25 laps from the end. Car number 31 has spun off of the racetrack and has brought out our 6th caution period of the afternoon.
His windshield is gone. When these cars spin out, Benny Parsons mentioned earlier those straps, metal straps that they have to hold the windshield with all of that pressure going against them. When the car turns around, that wind will just snap it right out of there.
The lead pack has taken the caution flag on lap number 164, and you can see that no one has come in for a pit stop because of the caution flag and the time it came out. For the Sauter spin over there in turn number 2. Nobody was able to duck into the pits quickly. We do expect a lot of pit stops possibly here, though, coming up.
I don't think,
or will we?
I don't think you're going to see any pit stops, Bob, because I think these guys can go the rest of the way. They're going to stay out.
Davey Allison moves alongside Morgan Shepherd. Let's see if anyone chooses to come in for a pit stop. As I mentioned, we're now less than 25 laps from the end of the race. Everybody has enough fuel. So doesn't appear as if
Davy's trying to trick him. He's trying to trick him.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. He's trying to. No, he's going to come into the pit.
What?
No,
he's not.
little cat and mouse going
He fooled
on.
me there for a second.
Terry Labonte was there also right behind him, just in case Davy went in. He was going to too, but I don't think he was fooled very much by Allison's maneuver. We'll be back with more at Talladega after this. The yellow flag remains out. Let's go back and relive just a few minutes ago when Davy Allison tried to fake everybody out by leading them to believe that he was going to come down off the banking and make a pit stop.
Boy, he almost convinced me. He came all the way down, went past the yellow line, and then all of a sudden he and Terry Labonte looked like he was going to do the same thing. Jackaroo, what was that all about?
Well, we'll ask Robert Yates himself. Robert, what was all that faking out going down on pit road with Davy Allison?
Oh, he'd like for everybody else to pit. But, you know, as long we've run over some debris before and had to bet on tires, it's really not a tire race. We don't, you know, we could run probably 500 miles on the tires, but these are working pretty good now. We need to stay in there with Morgan. He's awful strong.
Well, we've talked to the faker. Let's talk to the fakie now. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Well, Jack, Morgan Shepherd was not about to come down pit road. For no way, shape, or form was he going to let Davy Allison pull him down pit road. And what we told you last time was Morgan Shepherd came in and did not change tires. What we didn't tell you was he didn't change tires the time before that, or the time before that, or the time before that. In fact, the tires that are on the car right now were put on lap 100. That means if he runs the last 20 or 12 laps or so, or 22 laps or so, he will have run 228 miles on the same set of Hoosiers. And Jackaroo, I mean, that's great tire wear here at Talladega.
Hey, Jerry, you know, yesterday in the ARCA race, one of the crew members that spent the most time on pit road checking on tire wear was the fellow that calls the shots down there, Butch Mock and Bob Rahilly. They were going up and down like it was Sherlock Holmes, just checking over the tire wear. So maybe they know something everybody else doesn't.
Well, we're going to see how all this shakes out here in just a moment as the pace car has its lights off, and he'll be ducking into the pit area and will not be faking anybody out. He will indeed be coming in as the field now begins to build up momentum and take the green flag for the start. There are 20 cars on the lead lap. 41 started this race. Now, the green flag is displayed by Harold Kinder, and we're back to racing. It's Morgan Shepherd leading with Davy Allison second, then Terry Labonte and Mark Martin.
Can you imagine a guy running all day long and finishing 20th? And being in the lead lap and run good all day long. That's...
Yep. Well, look here. Morgan Shepherd and Davy Allison have opened up a pretty good lead over Terry Labonte, who's running in third place.
Labonte and Mark Martin. Larry Pearson is there, so is Ricky Rudd, but those two cars are not on the lead lap, and Harry Gant is fifth.
Looks like Labonte's coming back now, and then he and Mark Martin have hooked up in the draft, and they're coming back on the rear bumper.
Yep. Let's take off.
Tell you what, when we have that speed shot, you can tell how fast those cars are going, can't you?
They zip by pretty quickly, don't they?
4 cars, and I think it's going to be decided between these 4 cars unless we have another caution flag, because Ned, oh, here comes Harry Gant. Maybe he can run them down.
Yep, Harry come out of that pack back there in a hurry. He was caught behind a couple of lap cars. Here's Davy Allison now trying to go for the lead. Nope, couldn't quite do it that time. But Gant is definitely gaining on him, and I think he will be a factor.
They're the top 4 cars, and now we see Harry Gant also closing in quickly on the lead draft. And here is the view that Harry has as they go into the tri-oval. That's Mark Martin right ahead of him, and that is Harry on the Sunday afternoon drive at Talladega at over 195 miles an hour.
Look how straight that right leg is. He's got that thing all the way to the floorboard, and you won't see it come up as we watched Rusty Wallace earlier in the race.
And it looks so easy, Benny.
It does look easy, doesn't it? And you know, the physical thing is not that difficult at Talladega, but it's what's going through his mind that's what's hard. Hey, how can I catch these guys? How can I get by them?
Well, he's caught him. Now how does he get by him? That's the thing.
That's the challenge that faces Harry Gant, but indeed, he has moved into 5th position. Dale Earnhardt in this group of cars here. Also Ken Schrader, Darrell Waltrip, Alan Kulwicki. These guys are now in the crossing the line, or about to cross the line. They are maybe what?
3 seconds.
Well, 3 seconds
behind. Now, just before this last caution came out, those 3 cars of Earnhardt, Schrader, and Waltrip had hooked up together, and they were gaining on the front-running cars, but they got caught back in traffic there this time, and they got a lot of gain to do in a shorter period of time.
Now, if the front cars, we see these cars, oh, here comes Schrader, he's trying to pass. That's going to slow him down just a little bit. But if Schrader's that much faster, maybe he will take him a little bit faster than Earnhardt can. But if those cars in front stay hooked up and stay in line, I don't think his guys will ever catch him. Oh, trouble up in turn 4.
We have a crash. First major crash of the afternoon, as a matter of fact, in turn number 4. You can see several cars spinning off the track, including Richard Petty. Ernie Irvan has also spun. A major crash here. Michael Waltrip in the yellow car is involved and has suffered some damage.
There's one of the Miller cars up on the racetrack.
Larry Pearson, badly damaged in the right front of that car.
Larry hit hard. Some fire starting to burn there on the right front of Larry Pearson's car.
He's broken the fuel pump off the automobile. There's the
Derek Cope car. Ernie Irvan in car number 2.
Chad Little going by. There's Hut Strickland, the number 57 car that was involved. So our first major crash of the day. Yesterday we had a 15-car pileup in the ARCA race. This wasn't quite that bad, but it did involve several cars on lap number 172. And there is Derek Cope, who is going over.
That's Larry Pearson.
If Larry Pearson is okay.
I tell you what, Larry Pearson never in his life has hit anything as hard as he just hit the wall here at Talladega.
And whatever it is he hit it hard. I would assume it was a wall. It could have been another car, but he did hit hard. Now he's going to lay down there on the grass and get his breath a little bit, but it did look like he came out of the car under his own power.
I've seen this movie, Bob. I starred in this movie, and let me tell you something. It's not a pretty movie.
This is when it definitely is not fun. A replay of the accident. See if we can determine where and when it happened. We see 2 cars that are up into the wall at this point.
That's the car number 10 of Derek Cope.
That's Kyle Petty sliding on the bottom of the racetrack, and up high must be
that's Pearson up against the wall on the outside. We see Richard Petty spinning on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like Rick Wilson coming through.
Here's another angle. Michael
Waltrip into the wall, and he comes back into the Pearson car, and there's where Pearson hit the car's wall so hard, and you can see fire at that point also coming out of the car.
That was definitely the best angle of that crash.
I guess that's Kyle Petty that's spinning, the front car that's spinning.
And there's a car went right over Richard Petty. That was Hut Strickland, car number 57. But Richard Petty did drive away, but Hut Strickland just went right over the car. There's Bobby Hillen going through, and Dick Trickle up on the racetrack going through.
There's Chad Little automobile sitting there.
Turn 4 is a junkyard, and the medical officials are there with Larry Pearson, but as you can see, he is walking away, and that is what we wanted to see. After a hard impact with a 4th turn wall, Larry Pearson appears to be okay, and the crowd is applauding his ability to do so. So our first major crash of the race comes very late on lap number 172. World today at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, and our first major crash of the race comes with less than 20 laps to go. There's one of the cars involved, Derek Cope. Now here is a real-time replay of the crash from inside Jeff Bodine's car. How in the world did he do that?
Oh, I don't know. He couldn't say anything.
Oh, look at the hard impact that Larry Pearson takes into the wall. Cars of Pearson and Cope sliding down the banking. Now here's another angle. Hut Strickland ran over the front end of Richard Petty's car that you saw there on the right side of your screen. There is Larry Pearson's very badly damaged race car. Jerry Punch is with Hut Strickland.
Well, Hut taking a deep breath. First of all, are you okay, Hut?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay, Jerry. It's just a shame, you know, all the guys on the team and really done a super job all day to keep us up there. And, you know, just accidents do happen. And coming off turn 4 there, it looks like Mike Walter blew a tire or something. We got in the wall, and everybody jabbed on the brakes, and there just wasn't any place for me to go. And I slowed down, and somebody hit me in the back. But I'm okay, and, you know, just a shame what happened.
Looked like your car went right over Richard Petty's car. I mean, did you see Petty come by?
No, I didn't, Jerry. You know, it's hard to tell who you hit or anything around 185 or 190, and you know, it's just things happen so fast you don't never know who you hit or anything.
Hut Strickland out of it. Larry Pearson took a heavy lick down there, but the good news, he did walk to the infield ambulance to be taken to the care center. We'll try to get a comment from Larry in just a few moments. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jerry, and we're glad to see Hut is okay. So the spectators once again sit down in their chairs, ready now for the finish of this race. The top 15, Shepard, Allison, Labonte, Mark Martin, and Bill Elliott. 6 through 10, Gant, Neil Bonnet, Dale Earnhardt, Ken Schrader, and Darrell Waltrip. And then 11th is Sterling Marlin, 12th is Alan Kulwicki, then Phil Parsons, Rusty Wallace, and NASCAR from Talladega, Alabama, live here on ESPN on this Sunday afternoon. And we are near the end of this race, and another race of Yates, the crew chief on the Davey Allison car.
Well, Bob, Robert's been talking back and forth to Davey Allison, and you've taken your look at your tactics, and what's the story?
Well, Morgan's so strong that, you know, if we can figure out some way, but he's been back here a good while and tried a few things, and we're not sure we can do it, but we haven't given up yet.
What Davey had said, Jerry Punch, is that the leader, Morgan Shepherd, has a lot of leg, but one fellow that doesn't have a lot of leg right now, he's out of the races with you.
Well, he's limping. He just came out of the infield care center. That's Larry Pearson. Larry, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Jerry. Just knocked the breath out of me and hurt my right foot a little bit, but it'll be okay.
What happened up there?
Well, I don't know. To be honest with you, somebody said Mike Waltrip went up and hit the wall and came back down and got into me and turned me head on into the wall, but I really don't know. I can't say.
Well, Ricky Pearson's okay, but that Chattanooga Chia Buick is totally destroyed, wiped out. His father, David, and brothers Ricky were looking at a tough break for the Pearson clan.
Now, the guys that drove through all that debris on the racetrack, they should have some concern, I would think, at this point about how their tires are going to react when we go green again.
Yeah, they have to be concerned, Bob, but when no one made a pit stop, the others couldn't afford to give up the track position, but they got to be, you know, a little bit cautious there, wondering if they did run over something.
I tell you what, the crews are sitting down there in